Even Frank Fritz's closest friends were taken aback by what was found in his estate after his death, despite his life being full of surprises. Frank was well known for his passion for rare antiques and undiscovered gems. His collection contained surprises that no one had anticipated. His estate was the subject of conjecture due to priceless artifacts hidden in obscure nooks and sentimental items that revealed a different side of the beloved picker. However, what precisely did they discover? And how does it alter our preconceived notions about Frank Fritz? Join us as we reveal the incredible findings that astounded collectors and fans. Origins of American Pickers. On January 18, 2010, American Pickers premiered on the History Channel. To find priceless antiques and antiquities, Mike Wolfe and Frank Fritz travel across America in search of hidden treasures. They search basements, garages, and barns. The idea was to present the intriguing realm of picking, emphasizing the histories of the objects and their owners. Because of its distinctive style, which combined adventure, history, and personal stories, the show became popular right away. The show was marketed as an alternative to conventional reality TV, emphasizing storytelling over sales, and was inspired by Mike's lifelong passion for antiques. Network executives' initial mistrust soon subsided as viewers were moved by the sincere charm of two regular guys unearthing lost treasures. Every discovery, from rare vintage motorcycles to rusted gas station signs, enhanced the show's appeal and made picking a cultural phenomenon. Frank Fritz's role. Frank Fritz brought a unique flavor to American Pickers, complementing Mike Wolfe's concept with his expertise and enthusiasm. Frank was well known for his excellent eye, particularly for vintage toys and motorcycles. Viewers were moved by his approachable demeanor and sincere enthusiasm. Frank had an affinity for pop culture treasures and frequently uncovered sentimental objects from the past, in contrast to Mike's preference for historical artifacts. His experience as a fire inspector helped him pick with care, ensuring every find was genuine and worthwhile. Mike's fast-talking and business-minded manner was counterbalanced by Frank's humor and grounded personality, which fans found endearing. Frank also often haggled to get the best deal and was fond of oil cans, vintage advertising signs, and unusual items. His love of Indian motorcycles and vintage Harleys frequently produced some of the show's most exciting discoveries. Every episode was an exciting and unexpected journey because of Mike and Frank's chemistry. Show's popularity and ratings. American Pickers quickly became one of the History Channel's most popular shows. Over 5 million people watched each show episode at its height, demonstrating its broad appeal. Unlike many reality shows, it struck the ideal mix between entertainment and teaching. In addition to enjoying the treasure hunts, fans learned about the intriguing backstories of objects such as vintage jukeboxes, forgotten Americana, and World War II treasures. Mike and Frank's friendship significantly contributed to the show's success, lending it a genuine buddy road trip feel. Celebrities like William Shatner and Jack White have even made cameos over the years, which has increased their star power. The show's impact extended beyond television, sparking a resurgence of interest in antiquing and inspiring everyday people to seek out hidden treasures in their garages and attics. Due to the show's influence, foot traffic to antique stores rose, and phrases like rusty gold entered popular culture. Frank's health decline. Frank Fritz experienced serious health issues in 2020, which started to have an impact on his performance in the program. He had extensive back surgery, which resulted in problems and a protracted recuperation time. Frank had also been transparent about his struggle with Crohn's disease, a chronic inflammatory bowel disease that further affected his health and participation in the filming process. He battled personal problems behind the scenes, including alcoholism, which he subsequently acknowledged hurt his relationships and work. When Frank stopped appearing in several episodes, fans began to wonder what was happening with him. In subsequent interviews, he acknowledged that he had entered a rehabilitation center to change his life. Frank maintained his optimism about returning to the show. Despite these obstacles, saying he wanted to reunite with Mike and continue their adventures. Fortunately, other health issues interrupted his recuperation. Departure from American Pickers. Frank officially left American Pickers in 2021 due to health issues. The History Channel wished Frank luck in recuperation and said he would not return to the program. However, tensions between Frank and Mike had been building behind the scenes. In a rare public statement, Frank said he felt abandoned by his longtime buddy and was disappointed with how his resignation was handled. In contrast, Mike responded with a sincere social media statement expressing his support for Frank's recovery while also making it clear that their collaboration had come to an end. There was disagreement among the fans. Some thought Mike should have fought to bring Frank back, while others thought his return was doubtful given Frank's difficulties. Mike and the new co-hosts, Danielle and Robbie Wolf, carried on the show. But Frank's absence created a conspicuous gap that many fans believed would never be filled. Frank's passing. Frank Fritz passed away on September 30th, 2024, at the age of 60. After a protracted struggle with health problems, including a stroke that rendered him immobile in 2022, he passed away. The revelation devastated fans who had followed his journey for over 10 years. Former co-stars and industry friends shared reminiscences of Frank's comedy, passion, and kindness as tributes flooded in from the antique and picking communities. In a heartfelt statement, Mike Wolf acknowledged their disagreements while paying homage to Frank's enormous contributions to the program. In celebration of his passion for picking, collectors and antique dealers hosted events and auctions in his honor. Fans shared their best memories of Frank on social media, ranging from his amusing antics with Mike to his remarkable discoveries over the years. Even though his tenure on American Pickers ended before his death, his impact on the collecting community will never be forgotten. Estate and will controversy. After his death, disagreements arose over Frank's estate, which was valued at approximately $6 million. Bill Fritz, his father, disputed the legality of Frank's will, calling it fraudulent, and claimed he was the only heir. On the other hand, close friends who had been running Frank's affairs while he was incapacitated maintained that the will was valid and accurately represented Frank's objectives. With opposing assertions on Frank's mental health and capacity to make financial decisions in his later years, the legal dispute swiftly turned into a media circus. Rumors concerning previously unknown valuables, such as precious antiques and vintage motorcycles that were purportedly missing, added to the drama. Fans speculated about how Frank would have wanted his estate to be managed as the court proceedings continued. Even though his picking days are gone, the battle for his legacy has only gotten more heated, casting a regrettable shade over his last chapter. Relationship with Mike Wolf. More than a commercial collaboration, Frank and Mike Wolf's friendship was a fraternity created by their mutual love of picking. Their love of antiques and lost treasures brought them together as youngsters. Due to their connection, American Pickers succeeded, with viewers enjoying their friendly competition and banter while searching for unique items. However, when Frank's health deteriorated and he missed a significant amount of the program, rifts in their relationship became apparent. As Frank openly expressed his dissatisfaction that Mike hadn't contacted him, rumors of a falling out began circulating. Despite the conflict, Mike paid tribute to Frank's memory after his death by declaring that he would always consider him a brother. There have even been rumors that Mike was there to soothe Frank and grasp his hand in his last moments. Their friendship persisted outside the cameras, demonstrating that their connection was based on more than just business, even though their working relationship had ended badly. Personal life and relationships. Unlike many reality TV celebrities, Frank Fritz maintained a low-key personal life, primarily focusing on his passion for antiques. He spent most of his time collecting and expanding his collection. He remained unmarried and had no children. He did, however, have a lengthy relationship with Diane Bankson, which ended badly due to infidelity claims and legal issues. Frank had a strong group of friends who helped him through his health issues and professional highs and lows despite his hardships. Frank was well known for his passion for motorbikes outside work. frequently refurbishing old motorcycles in his spare time. He also funds animals and often shares photos of his pets on social media. His admirers and fellow collectors, who accepted him for his humor, expertise, and unrelenting passion for discovering hidden gems, became his extended family, even though he may not have had a conventional family. Auctioning Frank's estate. Following his death, collectors took a keen interest in Frank's vast antique collection, which resulted in a nationally publicized estate sale. The most sought-after objects were old advertising signs, vintage jukeboxes, and rare motorcycles, and bidders from all over the nation fought to possess a piece of Frank's history. The sale of a 1930s Harley-Davidson, which fetched an incredibly high price due to its immaculate condition and personal connection to Frank, was one of the biggest surprises. Eager to acquire items from his collection, fans waited in line to buy small souvenirs such as vintage gas pumps and toy trucks. The auction was more than just a financial event. Many attendees shared anecdotes about how Frank inspired them. A portion of the sales were given to charitable organizations in recognition of Frank's passion for antiques and history. It celebrated a man who devoted his life to unearthing America's lost treasures, not just a sale. The unfinished business of Frank Fritz. Frank had big hopes for the future despite his health issues. One of his greatest aspirations was to open his own antique shop, apart from American Pickers, where he could engage with other collectors and display his most prized items. In addition, he expressed interest in writing a biography that would include behind-the-scenes insights into the show, his most intriguing selections, and his struggles with addiction, fame, and health. Frank had been working with friends and authors on a book project to chronicle his adventures in the antiques industry in his final years. Unfortunately, he was unable to execute these efforts due to his deteriorating health. Therefore, many of his ambitions remained unfulfilled. Nonetheless, according to hints from close friends and business associates, some of his plans may still be realized after his death. Frank's narrative might inspire people for years to come, whether it's told in a book or a documentary that gives viewers a final look into the life of a real picker. Mike Wolf's tribute to Frank. Despite their disagreements, Mike Wolf and Frank Fritz shared a strong bond that contributed to American Picker's fame, and Mike's eulogy following Frank's death was heartfelt. Mike recognized their lengthy connection in a heartfelt social media message recalling the innumerable road trips, giggles, and discoveries they'd made together. He spoke to Frank as a brother and a true blue picker, emphasizing his irreplaceable sense of humor and antiques. Fans who had long hoped for a reconciliation between the two found resonance in the tribute. There were also rumors that Mike had paid Frank a visit in his final days, suggesting that their relationship remained strong despite a falling out. Mike's remarks were well received by fans, who saw them as a last recognition of Frank's part in his life. The pair's legacy in the community will endure on and off screen, demonstrating that their tense friendship never waned. The future of American Pickers without Frank. After Frank Fritz left in 2021, American Pickers faced an indisputable change. Even when new co-hosts took over, it was challenging to recreate the chemistry that had enthralled the audience. Many devoted viewers felt the show had lost its genuineness, which hurt its ratings. Fans weren't as attached to the new lineup, even though Robbie Wolf, Mike Wolf's brother, tried to take Frank's place. After Frank's death, there was conjecture regarding whether the series should continue or if it was time to discontinue it. Several admirers proposed a Frank memorial episode, including a never-before-seen video and his most significant moments. Meanwhile, executives at the History Channel have not commented on the show's future. Even though American Pickers will continue, Frank's absence reminds me of the show's heyday. Two best friends traveling through the country, searching for hidden gems and laughing together. His death leaves a hole in the show's heart that cannot be filled. Frank's real net worth. Frank Fritz was one of the most well-known figures in reality TV at the height of his career, and his financial success reflected that. At its height, Frank's earnings were reported to be $500,000 per season, with American Pickers bringing in millions for the History Channel. Frank Fritz's antique shop, Frank Fritz Finds, and public appearances at antique fairs and trade exhibitions provided him with extra revenue. However, Frank's financial situation deteriorated after he left the show in 2021. His wealth was impacted by the expenditures of his back surgery, legal disputes, and recuperation. His estate, which included investments, real estate, and memorabilia, was valued at approximately $6 million at the time of his death. Notwithstanding the highs and lows of his financial career, Frank's fortune was primarily determined by his influence on the community and the millions of admirers who would never forget him, rather than the amount he earned. Frank's battle with alcoholism. One of the most tragic parts of Frank Fritz's later years was his struggle with alcoholism. He acknowledged using alcohol as a coping strategy for personal hardships, such as health problems and the disagreement with Mike Wolfe after leaving American Pickers. He entered a rehabilitation center in 2020 in an attempt to turn his life around. Despite his advancements, he continued to struggle with addiction. In the years after his stroke in 2022, friends and family later disclosed that his drinking had gotten worse, resulting in more health issues. Addiction had contributed to his downfall, which grieved his fans who had followed his path. Frank persisted in being candid about his battle to encourage others to get support. His tale highlights the unseen struggles that many individuals endure, including those who appear to have it all. Frank's relationship with Danielle Colby. Frank Fritz and Danielle Colby had one of the most fascinating relationships with American Pickers. Danielle was in charge of investigating potential sites and maintaining operations as the shop manager at Antique Archaeology, while Frank and Mike were away. Although there was a lot of lighthearted banter between them, the relationship was thoroughly professional, despite fans' frequent speculation about romantic tension. However, once Frank left, things became tense, and Danielle publicly supported Mike, sparking accusations that their friendship had deteriorated. Nevertheless, Danielle posted a heartfelt ode to Frank upon his passing, recognizing his contributions to the show and the antique picking community. She demonstrated that she still admired and cared for him, despite their arguments, by sharing old pictures and sincere comments. Despite its complexity, their connection was a crucial component of American Pickers, contributing to the show's charm and sense of community. Did Frank have a wife or kids? Frank Fritz never married and had no kids, unlike his co-host Mike Wolfe, who got married and started a family. He did, however, have a lengthy romance with Diane Bankson that ended in a painful and widely reported breakup. Their breakup turned into a traumatic period in Frank's life, filled with personal conflicts, lawsuits, and accusations of infidelity. His busy lifestyle, characterized by constant travel, lengthy production commitments, and personal struggles, made it challenging to sustain a steady relationship, despite his interest in starting a family at various points. In his final years, Frank surrounded himself with close friends who became like family, concentrating on his work and antique collection. His impact on aspiring pickers and antique enthusiasts was indisputable, even though he never had children. He was regarded by many enthusiasts as a father figure in the collecting world, encouraging people to respect lost treasures and appreciate their history. Impact on the antique community. Frank Fritz's impact went well beyond American Pickers. He was instrumental in bringing antique collecting into the mainstream and transforming it from a specialized pastime into a cultural phenomenon. Picking was previously considered a hobby for ardent collectors, but Frank helped alter that belief by demonstrating how regular people may find priceless items in the most unlikely places. His easygoing demeanor and sincere interest in history inspired a new generation of pickers. This prompted viewers to search for hidden gems at estate sales, flea markets, and even their attics. Following the show's popularity, antique stores experienced a surge in demand from consumers eager to uncover the backstories of their cherished family heirlooms. Frank's enthusiasm has helped revive interest in things formerly considered trash by drawing attention to forgotten Americana, such as vintage gas pumps, signs, toys, and motorcycles. His legacy extends beyond the show to the innumerable individuals he encouraged to view the past in a new light. Frank's antique collection. Frank was an expert in uncommon and unusual finds, not merely a collector. His collection, which included unique advertising signs, vintage toys, oil cans, and motorcycles, reflected his varied taste. His collection of Harley-Davidson and Indian bikes, many of which he painstakingly rebuilt, was one of his most valued assets. He also had uncommon things such as vintage gas pumps and porcelain signs, and had great interest in petrolina, or antique gas station memorabilia. Frank's collection was sometimes referred to by friends and coworkers as a miniature museum, with each object preserving a unique tale. While he loved to buy and sell, there were some items he could never part with, demonstrating that for Frank, picking was about more than just making money. It was about preserving history. His collection of vintage lunchboxes, jukeboxes, and circus memorabilia demonstrated his love of nostalgia, making his inventory as impressive as anything seen on American Pickers. Frank's most valuable pick. One of Frank's most prized discoveries during his tenure on American Pickers was an almost century-old Harley-Davidson. This vintage motorcycle, covered in rust and dust, had been undisturbed in a rundown barn for decades. As soon as Frank saw it, his eyes brightened, and he realized the importance of the bike. Experts estimated its value after meticulous repair to be about $100,000, making it one of the most expensive discoveries in the show's history. However, Frank's devotion was motivated by the excitement of discovering a lost piece of history, not just the money. He negotiated a deal that guaranteed the bike would find a worthy home due to his extensive knowledge of bikes. True treasure is frequently hidden in the most unlikely places, as demonstrated by this discovery, cementing Frank's status as one of the greatest in the industry and proving a turning point in American Pickers history. Frank's relationship with his family. Frank always attributed his passion for antiques to his father, who instilled in him a respect for the past. As a child, Frank accompanied his father to estate auctions and flea markets, inadvertently shaping his future. He maintained a close relationship with his parents despite rising stardom, and frequently traveled to his hometown of Davenport, Iowa, where he was raised. However, some family relationships were strained in his later years due to personal issues and health issues. Following a devastating stroke, Frank's family took charge of his affairs and made sure he got the care he needed. In particular, his father played a crucial role in overseeing his treatment. His family members participated in memorial services and tributes after his death, working valiantly to maintain his legacy. His family's profound affection and admiration for the man, dedicated to unearthing America's lost treasures, remained unwavering despite the ups and downs. Frank's private life off camera. Although he gained fame, Frank Fritz never sought to pursue fame outside of American Pickers. Mike Wolf, his co-host, loved media appearances and public appearances, while Frank wanted a more straightforward, low-key lifestyle. He mostly stayed at his farmhouse in Iowa, surrounded by his close-knit circle of friends and antique collection. Frank preferred road trips, local auctions, and refurbishing vintage motorcycles to ostentatious Hollywood events. At swap meets and antique events, he would often converse with other collectors, surprising fans with his grounded demeanor. Frank remained loyal to his roots, which is why so many viewers identified with him, in contrast to many reality TV stars who allow success to alter them. He sought solace in the same passion that had fueled him from the start, the thrill of the pick, even in his last years as health issues took a toll. The decline of American Pickers' ratings. Frank Fritz was the soul of American Pickers, not merely a co-host. Viewers noticed the difference immediately when he left in 2021. Even though Mike Wolf's brother, Robbie, was one of the new faces on the show, the chemistry wasn't the same. Many fans expressed dismay on social media, saying the magic had vanished. Some long-standing fans stopped watching altogether, and ratings suffered as a result. The show's popularity had been primarily attributed to Mike and Frank's amicable competition and lighthearted banter. Without it, the relationship felt strange. After Frank's death, the decrease became even more noticeable as fans reflected on the heyday of American Pickers. Despite continuing to air, many people believe the show will never regain the same level of popularity. Devoted admirers continue to wonder if the creators will manage to bring back its initial attraction. The shocking estate will revelation. The specifics of Frank Fritz's estate will be one of the major surprises after his passing. Although it was generally assumed that his wealth would be distributed among family members, rumors have circulated that some close acquaintances who had assisted in managing his affairs were listed as beneficiaries instead. This caused controversy because Bill Fritz, Frank's father, disputed the will, saying it had been altered. More conjecture was sparked by reports that certain former co-workers, including those from American Pickers, were excluded entirely. Disputes over the dispersal of Frank's collection of antiques, homes, and vintage motorcycles soon led to legal conflicts over the estate. His last years were made more mysterious by the turmoil around his will. Although the disclosures stunned many believed Frank's wishes would be respected. In the world of picking, his legacy is unbreakable, regardless of the legal issues. The search for a successor. Finding someone to replace Frank Fritz would never be simple, and American Pickers has yet to do so. Many fans thought Robbie Wolf lacked the charm and knowledge Frank brought to the show when he took over. Although several guest pickers have appeared, none have fully matched the connection between the original pair. According to several long-standing fans, a younger picker with Frank's enthusiasm and expertise may be a good addition. Others think that American Pickers should respect his memory by retiring his slot rather than attempting to replace Frank. Whatever the performance outcome, one thing is sure. Frank was unique. His humor, extensive knowledge, and passion for hunting were unique. Even if the show continues, many people will always feel that American Pickers lacks Frank. The lasting legacy of Frank Fritz. Frank Fritz's influence extended beyond his tenure on American Pickers. His passion forever changed the antique picking community and storytelling. He encouraged innumerable collectors by demonstrating that hidden gems might be found anywhere, even in crowded garages and dusty barns. Because of his friendly demeanor, history seemed fascinating and approachable, inspiring people of all ages to value artifacts from the past. Frank's impact extended beyond television to include antique stores, trade exhibitions, and online marketplaces, where picking gained even greater traction. Reruns of the show, fan tributes, and the numerous others he encouraged to search their backyards for lost treasures are all ways his legacy endures even after his death. His contributions are still honored by collectors and admirers, demonstrating that his love of picking was more than simply a job, it was a movement. Even though Frank is no longer with us, his spirit will live on in the world of vintage hunting. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon